I read my wife's plicit conversation with a man she has been cheating on me with for 2 years. According to my psychologist, she might be suffering from dissociative identity disorder. My wife and I have been married for just over 2 years after being in a relationship for 3 years. I never had it in me to doubt my wife. Not once in 2 years of being married to her did I ever go through her phone. 2 months ago, after returning from a dinner with friends, I knocked my room door. Usually she would open within 10 seconds, but this time she took a good 3 minutes. When she opened, I saw her putting her night suit on. Her undergarments laid on the bed, that she then moved to the sofa. It was the change in her pattern that got me worried and thinking. The very next night I went through her phone and read her conversation with a guy she had slept with 4 months before we got married, but while we were dating. As I kept reading, I found out that she had met him again a month ago and they had gone to a hotel to FCK. Doesn't end here. They had been having phone time in my absence over video calls, in fact twice, while I innocently slept next to her at the same bed. My life has turned upside down and inside out. I have sent her to her parents since I found out. She's apologetic and remorseful for what has happened and keeps saying, "But you know it's not me." Because I couldn't understand why she would do something like this, I sent her to my therapist so maybe my therapist could help bring me closure. After some tests that my therapist conducted on her, she has concluded that my wife possibly suffers from dissociative identity disorder. My question here is, for the duration of 5 years that I have known her, not once have I felt her acting weird. Then how do I come to terms with the disorder she has? My heart just won't accept it. Even if it does, I have to live with the implicit details of their chat for the rest of my life. I need any guidance and advice I can get from anyone and everyone, especially people who have been in a similar situation themselves. I want to leave her and move on with my life, because the first and foremost thing I said to her is that I will not tolerate disloyalty. But a small part of me wants to forgive her. What do you all think? Redditor's reactions. Story 2 after. Redditor 1, Occam's razor. Which solution is simpler? 1. She has 2 completely distinct personalities and managed to entirely keep that fact from you throughout all your years of dating and marriage so thoroughly that you've never really seen any signs of it. Or 2. She cheated, got caught, and had to invent some bullshit excuse hoping you were enough of a sucker to believe it. Also, you say therapist. Is this person a licensed medical professional with a doctorate in psychology or a MD psychologist? Because otherwise your therapist is absolutely unqualified to even begin to make those conclusions. At the end of the day, even assuming your wife has DID, it doesn't matter. You can't be in a loving, trusting marriage with a person who will suddenly sprout new personalities that want to cheat on you. Redditor follow-up. As a psychologist, I would never agree to see someone's spouse, especially under these circumstances, and I would never diagnose DID based upon a single test or visit. This is not my diagnosis, obviously, but there are red flags. It is highly suspect that she only dissociates with other men. Or that this is just coming up now. Surely, if she had DID, she's gone through her phone and thought, "I don't remember sending these pics." Or did the laundry and wondered, "When did I wear this lingerie?" I will tell you that the DID dissociation explanation is not unique. I've seen it. It's a great way to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. It takes your anger and heartbreak and turns it into sympathy for her. Then you're left feeling guilty that you were initially mad. Redditor 2, how did your therapist tell you this? Seems a massive violation of ethics. If she told you, why would you even consider believing someone who has lied daily for over 32 months? Redditor follow up. I think Op wants to believe it so he can justify her actions. And I don't say that with any snark. I likely would have done the same thing. Story 2, I'm getting orange juice. I wish I could say this is my story, but it's not. This one is courtesy one of my closest friends. For reference, I'll be referring to him as BP. Slightly not safe for work, I suppose. I'd rather tag it and it not be, than not tag it and have someone's boss walk up and read it. D. Also, names and tiny details are changed or omitted, but the overall story is legit. A few years ago, BP was dating this girl. He really dug her and did everything he could to please her. He was a reasonably funny dude, not bad looking, and he sung for a band, so he had his choice of a few ladies, but chose this one because he was really fond of her. Bent over backwards for her, so to speak. After the relationship goes on for a while, he finds out she's been cheating on him. And it didn't just start, she's been cheating on him since they were courting. Apparently, his love for her wasn't mutual, and she just refused to give up other guys, even after their own relationship seemed to get serious. BP was furious, but he wasn't the type to acid in her cereal, beat up the other guys, etc. But he wanted to get back at her somehow, some way. A few days later, we're all out drinking, hanging out, hitting the bar circuit, having a good time when who else but his ex's mom actually shows up. Ex's mom gets liquored up with us when BP actually saw his opportunity for revenge. So he sweet talks the mother to the point where she ends up bringing him back home with her, and then, you guessed it, he had time with his ex's mother. But the story gets better. Post-coitus, he decides to get up and go to the kitchen to get a drink. Not putting anything on but a t-shirt, he walks into the kitchen and opens the fridge. At this point, his ex, who was out herself, comes in and runs into him, naked from the torso down, in her fridge. She screams at him, "What the duck are you doing here?" Nonchalantly, he replies, "Getting some orange juice." Edit, holy crap, front page. Thanks, guys. Edit 25713 somehow, this made best of, so this post made front page twice. Since today is my birthday, I find it an amusing present in a weird sort of way. However, I do wish whoever posted it to best of had clarified the title a little bit. Seems people think I'm delivering about the safe. I don't know anything about the safe beyond what you guys know. And I imagine, if that op finally delivers, it'll stay on the front page for a while. Redditor's reaction story 3 after. Op comment, brand spanking new post, for everyone that wanted closure on this story. It finally happened. I finally ran into him again and said, "Dude, you know, I posted your orange juice story to Reddit and it made front page and shit." He was excited about it. However, I also told him that the story drops off right after running into his ex in the kitchen, and that I'd never thought to ask him what happened afterwards. 'Twas a bit anticlimactic, but here it is. So after he tells the girl he's getting orange juice, she's apparently just standing there dumbfounded. He walks back into her mom's room, shuts and locks the door. Once she finally realizes the extent of just what's going on, she starts pounding on the door, demanding an answer, or to yell at them, something. The mom opens the door and says, "Sweetheart, I love you, but I'm a grown woman. I can do what I choose. Go away for a while." Door slammed, relocked. Apparently, later, the mom and girl get into a huge fight. Girl gets disgusted by mom's betrayal, moves out, gets a job in fast food, and that's pretty much it. Edit 5713. While I definitely appreciate that someone thought this was best of worthy, whoever submitted it could have picked a better title. I seem to be getting a shitstorm about the safe half of Reddit has been worrying about, and this has nothing to do with the safe. Also, I'm aware of the video. Yeah, it's neat, but I first heard the story before that. If it's not true, then I'm not even mad. It was an entertaining story. Now yes, I'm aware of the video, yes, the same one that was posted before this made best of. BP has told us this story for years, and I haven't caught him lying to me yet. On top of this, he does have a reputation of sorts, so if you knew him in person, it'd be perfectly believable. But to each their own. Still a funny story. Op comment, while I'm aware I'm gonna get down votes because not everyone appreciates the old doing your mom revenge scheme, I can't help myself but to think, people are downvoting this story, maybe they don't like orange juice? Redditor follow up, most of the downvotes shown and many of the upvotes are actually fake votes used by Reddit to help prevent spammers from figuring out how the system works. The total score, i.e. upvotes downvotes, is still correct though. Redditor 3, this man should now only use the phrase "I ducked your mother" with his ex. Op answer, actually, what made it for me was the orange juice part. Somehow, I don't feel it'd have been as funny if she'd walked in and he went, "Your mom." Well, okay, it is funny, but my point still stands. Story 3, month 1 of 18, finding the man my mother had an affair with. I found him. It took a little longer than I had hoped, but I have all the time in the world for the guy that turned my father into a sea-cold. All I had to go by was the conversation I had with my mother after she admitted her faults and, more importantly, sincerely apologized to my father for her indiscretions, and a conversation from several months ago mentioning a guy who was crushing on my cousin who stayed with my parents at the time. Oh, and I got my father to give me a first name of the contact info in my mother's phone. One day it clicked. A brief search on Facebook and the white pages led me to a man I was 80% sure was the man I was looking for. I had to be sure though. I would not do anything to a person who did not deserve it. So I walked my brother's dog to the suspect's house, and wouldn't you know it, he had a personalized license plate with his name on it, and when he answered the door he was wearing his name tag from work. I politely asked him to step outside and said, "So I know you ducked my mom," calmly. Not in anger but in a matter-of-fact sort of way. The look on his face confirmed my suspicion. I continued, "I found you. It took me a while but I did. I know where you live. But I'm not going to do anything to you. What you did never once affected my mother's parental responsibilities. But it did affect her responsibilities as a wife. So I want you to apologize to my father for what you have done to him and our family unit as a whole. You don't have to do it to his face, you can write an anonymous letter and leave it on the front porch." He looked down and said, "Yeah, I felt really bad about that. I can do that for you, thanks," I replied, and stuck out my hand thinking how well this had gone. How awesome it was that cooler heads can prevail and people can act like adults and take responsibility for their actions. I even talked to the guy about mutual people we know and shot the essay with him for a few. Flash forward to Mother's Day 6 days later. I send him a text asking if he has finished the letter. I had his number. It wasn't that hard to find. 30 minutes go by with no response, so I ask again. Still nothing. So I begin driving home to see my mother. I live an hour and a half from my parents. I decide to call him. It doesn't get through the first ring before I get sent to voicemail. I call again. Same result. I proceed to call him 110 times, filling his voicemail box in the process. It is at this time I realize I have been lied to. He had no intention of writing that letter. I can't believe I fooled myself into thinking this could be settled honorably. Of course, a man who would duck another man's wife would be a spineless little btch. How could I have been so stupid? This marks 10 days since contact was made. He and his family have since moved, unrelated to me. Their house has been on the market for some time. I continued to contact his phone through all hours of the day and night. I sent roughly 50 texts filled with colorful language. The text I'm most proud of is, "I've taken assets I respect more than you." By Tuesday he blocked my number. So I was gonna continue contacting him via Facebook, but he beat me to the punch and blocked me. But his mother didn't. I sent her a kindly message explaining how much it pained me to speak ill of a child to his parents. Since then I have been waiting. Last night I get a call from my father. He tells me that while my mother was getting gas, the little btch happened to run into her. He looked rattled. He told my mother his mother called him crying and chewing him out. He's having a hard time sleeping. I've cracked his shell. This is week 1. Their affair went on for 18 months. I'll keep you updated. Edit. Update. So I got my mother's side of their confrontation at the gas station. He's been losing sleep, he can't eat. He told my mother he's been scared shitless. He apologized profusely to her for the pain he has caused my family, with tears in his eyes. I feel elated. To all those who felt I went about this the wrong way, I bite my thumb at you. I didn't get the letter I wanted, I got a face-to-face apology. Albeit not to my father, but I'll take it. Mission accomplished. Thank you to all those who supported my endeavor. It didn't take 18 months to break him, it took 8 days. I rest easy.